Men have forgotten the days of the destroyer. Only the wise know where it went, and that it will return in its appointed hour. Thus it is written in the record of Beltshera. In those days the people were wicked, and though the wise men among them gave many warnings of the wrath to come, they would not listen. Such is the way of the wicked. So it came about that the hastening spirit became stirred up against them because of the odor of wickedness arising from the earth, for her nostrils abhor the smell of evil. This is a smell no man can know, for as the hounds know the smell of fear which no man can detect, so can other beings know the smell of wickedness. 100 generations have passed since the overwhelming deluge, and 10 generations since the destroyer last appeared. It is now year 2025, and the heavens are once again stirred up. I want to share this fascinating story from a collection of ancient Egyptian texts filled with myth, history, and philosophy. Before we begin, I want to be clear. This is not a scientific account. The story touches on themes of moral judgment, survival, and human resilience. It also shows how ancient cultures interpreted catastrophes and cataclysms mythically, much like stories you might know from the Bible, the Epic of Gilgamesh, or other traditions. And if you're sensitive to apocalyptic content, keep in mind this is not a prediction of actual events to come. With that in mind, let's begin the tale of the destroyer. Destruction and recreation. It is known, and the story comes down from ancient times, that there was not one creation but two, a creation and a recreation. It is a fact known to the wise that the earth was utterly destroyed once, then reborn on a second wheel of creation. At the time of the great destruction of earth, God caused a dragon from out of heaven to come and encompass her about. The dragon was frightful to behold. It lashed its tail. It breathed out fire and hot coals, and a great catastrophe was inflicted upon mankind. The body of the dragon was wreathed in a cold, bright light, and beneath on the belly was a ruddy-hued glow, while behind it trailed a flowing tail of smoke. It spewed out cinders and hot stones, and its breath was foul and stenchful, poisoning the nostrils of men. Its passage caused great thunderings and lightnings to rend the thick darkened sky, all heaven and earth being made hot. The seas were loosened from their cradles and rose up, pouring across the land. There was an awful shrilling trumpeting which outpowered even the howling of the unleashed winds. Men, stricken with terror, went mad at the awful sight in the heavens. They were loosed from their senses and dashed about crazed, not knowing what they did. The breath was sucked from their bodies, and they were burnt with a strange ash. Then it passed, leaving earth enwrapped within a dark and glowering mantle, which was ruddily lit up inside. The bowels of the earth were torn open in great writhing upheavals, and a howling whirlwind rent the mountains apart. The wrath of the sky monster was loosed in the heavens. It lashed about in flaming fury, roaring like 1,000 thunders. It poured down fiery destruction amid a welter of thick black blood. So awesome was the fearfully aspected thing that the memory mercifully departed from man. His thoughts were smothered under a cloud of forgetfulness. The earth vomited forth great gusts of foul breath from awful mouths opening up in the midst of the land. The evil breath bit at the throat before it drove men mad and killed them. Those who did not die in this manner were smothered under a cloud of red dust and ashes, or were swallowed by the yawning mouths of earth, or crushed beneath crashing rocks. The first sky monster was joined by another, which swallowed the tail of the one going before, but the two could not be seen at once. The sky monsters reigned and raged above the earth, doing battle to possess it, but the many-bladed sword of God cut them in pieces, and their falling bodies enlarged the land and the sea. In this manner, the first earth was destroyed by calamity descending from out of the skies. The vaults of heaven had opened to bring forth monsters more fearsome than any that ever haunted the uneasy dreams of men. Men and their dwelling places were gone, only sky boulders and red earth remained where once they were. But amidst all the desolation a few survived, for man is not easily destroyed. They crept out from caves and came down from the mountainsides. Their eyes were wild, and their limbs trembled, their bodies shook, and their tongues lacked control. Their faces were twisted, and the skin hung loose on their bones. They were as maddened wild beasts driven into an enclosure before flames. They knew no law, being deprived of all the wisdom they once had, and those who had guided them were gone. The earth, only true altar of God, had offered up a sacrifice of life and sorrow to atone for the sins of mankind. Man had not sinned in deed, but in the things he had failed to do. Man suffers not only for what he does, but for what he fails to do. He is not chastised for making mistakes, but for failing to recognize and rectify them. Then the great canopy of dust and cloud which encompassed the earth, enshrouding it in heavy darkness, was pierced by ruddy light, and the canopy swept down in great cloudbursts and raging storm waters. Cool moon tears were shed for the distress of earth and the woes of men. When the light of the sun pierced the earth's shroud, bathing the land in its revitalizing glory, the earth again knew night and day, for there were now times of light and times of darkness. The smothering canopy rolled away, and the vaults of heaven became visible to man. The foul air was purified, and new air clothed the reborn earth, shielding her from the dark, hostile void of heaven. The rainstorms ceased to beat upon the faces of the land, and the waters stilled their turmoil. Earthquakes no longer tore the earth open, nor was it burned and buried by hot rocks. The land masses were established in stability and solidity, standing firm in the midst of the surrounding waters. The oceans fell back to their assigned places, and the land stood steady upon its foundations. The sun shone upon land and sea, and life was renewed upon the face of the earth. Rain fell gently once more, and clouds of fleece floated across dayskis. The waters were purified, the sediments sank, and life increased in abundance. Life was renewed, but it was different. Man survived, but he was not the same. The sun was not as it had been, and the moon had been taken away. Man stood in the midst of renewal and regeneration. He looked up into the heavens above in fear for the awful powers of destruction lurking there. Henceforth, the placid skies would hold a terrifying secret. Man found the new earth firm and the heavens fixed. He rejoiced, but also feared, for he lived in dread that the heavens would again bring forth monsters and crash about him. When men came forth from their hiding places and refuges, the world their fathers had known was gone forever. The face of the land was changed, and earth was littered with rocks and stones which had fallen when the structure of heaven collapsed. One generation groped in the desolation and gloom, and as the thick darkness was dispelled, its children believed they were witnessing a new creation. Time passed, memory dimmed, and the record of events was no longer clear. Generation followed generation, and as the ages unfolded, new tongues and new tales replaced the old. The rolls of record. In the 27th year came Emos, who was a learned man, and with him came Zadok, who was one of us. Mosu, son of Shanthal, came also, and others in 4 large ships. Kita came in a ship apart. They were welcomed, and Kita set up a place of learning, and many came and sat before him. When Kita died, those whom he had taught said, "Let us record the knowledge of our master so that it may be added to the records and not lost. We, who are the pupils of Kita, and have been blessed by him and purified by water, shall be one. From this day we will call ourselves by the name he gave us, which is Bartha Hedshahid." The meaning of the words is lost. God and goodness are one and alike. God is not a person, but the Supreme Spirit. He made the earth so that it brought forth man and woman, and they lived together in a faraway land where everything was pleasant, even the forest. Woman tempted man so that he ate something, which was part of God, and man was punished, for he is responsible for woman. Children were born in their generations and multiplied until earth was filled. They built cities of stone and cut channels for water to flow away and made lakes. They were cunning workers in stone and in wood and in ivory. They made instruments from firestone and pottery in many colors. They raised up temples to the sunlight and worshipped inside many pillars, but within the temples were inner temples, where greater things were known. In the land of copper, which was the land of the golden light, 1 man in 12 was a priest. There were priestesses who took care of them and watched over the sacred elements within the temples. The headdresses of the priests were red, and they wore feathers and cloaks of black. They had circlets of gold and beads of silver, and there was a spiral of black stones at their waist. There was war between those who lived within the city and those who lived beyond its limits. Those who lived within the city grew all kinds of things and clothed themselves with the labor of their hands. Those who lived outside the city were hairy hunters clad in the skin of wild animals. Outside the grounds of the city there was a holy mountain, and priests lived within it. The men of the city brought them herbs and fruit with bread and wine. The men who were not of the city brought them sheep and goats and beasts of the chase. The men of the city loved wealth like city dwellers and were less generous than those who gained their food by strength and hunting. The men of the city held back portions of their dues and caused the priests to look upon them less kindly. When the great day of the sun came and the high priest gave his blessing of fruitfulness, he withheld it from the city dwellers and gave it only to the hunters and herdsmen. That night, when those who had received the blessings were rejoicing beside the mountain, the city dwellers fell upon them and slew many. This was the cause of a great war in which many men died. Men did to men what their natures inclined them to do, but they also ravaged women and children. The evil grew in greatness until the land could no longer contain it and had to be purged clean. Therefore, the revenging dragon was called up out of the heavenly abyss, and it lashed the land with fire and thunder. The whole land was filled with its smoky breath, and men choked to death. The land was split apart between the city and the mountain, and the sea rolled in upon it, so that the city was destroyed. The valleys of the mountain were filled with dead men and animals and with trees. The high priest survived with 7 others who were priests. He brought these, together with 110 men and their wives and children, into Laban, which is a land among high cliffs at the edge of the wide plain. Here the priests sought to preserve their wisdom and knowledge and pass it on to the children, but it became distorted and misunderstood. They did not understand the radiating power from the bodies of the dead which could guide the living. Even we do not understand these things clearly. The priests who came from the land of copper could make their soul depart from the body at their command and return as they willed. When ignorant men saw seemingly dead bodies return to life when the soul came back into them, they thought the same could happen to a dead body if kept long enough. Even this superstition stays with us. Later, when they had left Laban, men believed that if they kept the dead body so that it remained whole, the soul would not finally enter the sphere of accounting. Such was the knowledge of their wickedness and fear of their fate that they used every art to prevent the body falling apart and entering decay. They may have believed that until the soul entered the sphere above earth, it remained flexible and capable of acting to counter some of the ill effects of a life of wickedness and ignorance. Later still, the light of truth dimmed until it could scarce be seen. But always there were the few within the many, and the many hid them. The light of the few was a precious thing, safeguarded with diligence and care. The people knew the many, but the few remained unknown, their treasure safe. Gods multiplied, but those who sought truth among them could always find it if they were sincere and diligent seekers. It was then as it is now. A nation was once made from the blood of kings, and it became great and good. The light of truth was revealed to this nation, and it rejoiced in the light. But in a few generations it accepted the light as being something to which it was entitled by heritage. So the nation became careless in the preservation of the light. It was kept in a poorly built and neglected shrine. The winds of adversity came, and the light was blown out. Another nation was made from the blood of sturdy herdsmen, and the lamp of truth was lit among them. They too rejoiced in the light for a few generations, and cherished it in a house of gold. Then a powerful king coveted the house of gold, and came with many armed men, and drove out the guardians together with their light. The guardians built a house of reeds for the light, but because the house was so humble, they no longer bothered to guard it closely. Then some drunken men came by, staggering like ships with broken steering oars, and the house of reeds was knocked over. The light within burst into an all-consuming flame, and not only the house of reeds, but the house of gold was destroyed. Still another nation was made out of slaves, and they lit a lamp from the eternal flame which belongs to all men. Because they had no veil over their light, they were blinded and thought it the only light. They became arrogant and called themselves the chosen of God. But it was they who made the choice, not he. Though their God was a God above earth, and their God, he was not the God of mankind. And though he serves the Supreme Spirit, he is not the Supreme Spirit. So it is that the children of light understand that the majority of men who seek the light are like children playing about a brazier. As a man long confined in darkness is blinded by the sunlight, so are most men blinded when brought into the presence of the light of truth, even though it be heavily veiled. Only gradually can men be brought out of darkness into light. Yet even the children of light have become divided among themselves, and one institution became two. The institution of the East claims it is the true guardian of the written records, but now we have books written even before those copied by the scribes of Hoskia. We are not the children of the lesser light, and we know the mysteries of the hidden light. Only we in the cold north will survive, for it did not aim us right. Our destiny lies in a much bleaker land, where our seed will be planted in strange soil. It will lie within the bosom of an untamed land, until quickened to growth by the warmth of the desires of men. Kita taught that this means we should not seek to spread or reveal the light until our day of destiny, which must lay ahead. Therefore, those who say we must multiply our strength or be lost like a bead among the wheat harvest are mistaken. They talk against our destiny, which is written and unalterable. We know nothing of our first leader in light, except that he was a priest warrior, skilled with the spear, and he lived in times of war. His name is not recorded, for he said, "True masters are to be known by their works, and not by their names. They who seek to stand forth from other men and raise themselves up to increase their stature before the generations seek vainglory." He said, "I am no more than the storehouse into which the harvest is gathered. The good grain within comes from many fields and is produced by the labors of many men. If I said all this is my own growing, I would lie. Therefore, so that men cannot attribute undeserved greatness to me, I make myself faceless, and men may see as they will." In those days the children of light were sought out and persecuted, and no man knew another by his name, for the tools of the tormentors awaited them. Many were hung by the riverbank, feet uppermost, for the governor said, "These people read their books upside down." The women they consigned to houses of pleasure, so that many died in there. Degradation. We know that the first leader of light was among the highborn of Egypt, and his name was struck on marble pillars. He was cast down because he carried the lamp of truth, and his name was removed from the records of Egypt. He raised an army, but it was like a goat attacking a wild bull, and he was slain in the great marshlands lying near Ethiopia. He wrote the book which is known to all, and the book of rites and ceremonies which is known only to the elect. He did not write the 3 books in the lion urns which we alone know, or the book of the secret way. He may have written the book of instruction for the children of the written word within the children of light. The manner of keeping the book is taught from generation to generation. The books are our foundation, our shield, and our sword. They are our promise and our hope, our guide and our defense. It is said now, as in the days of our fathers and their fathers and the generations before them, that men steal our words and light their lamps from our flame. This may be so, but we have gathered seeds from the flowers of wisdom wherever they grew and planted them within our own garden. Shall we then deny to others what we ourselves have taken? Is it not written that no man can make truth, but many can find it if they seek? Therefore, is not truth the property of all men, even though most spurn it? For truth is not a pleasant plan. Nevertheless, it is true also that we may keep the truth as we find it secured to ourselves. If a man seek for unwrought gold and find it, he has not made it, yet it is still his. Is it not also written, gold is the treasure of a lifetime, but truth is the treasure of eternity? Gold can nourish the body, but it may poison the soul accordingly. Which do men treasure most in this place, gold or wisdom? Is it not the earthly thing they can hold in their hands and not the treasure they can safeguard in their hearts? The things they hold in their hands and hearts are already being weighed on the scales of fate and our destiny decreed. Many in this place who seek the light and have gone so far and no further declare this is not what they sought and go back discarding what they have. Yet if a man seek gold and find silver, does he throw it away? Better half a loaf than no loaf at all. If gold were as plentiful as copper, it would be valued less than silver. Only the things hard to obtain have value, and what is more difficult to discover than eternal truth, which must be sought beyond the boundaries of earth? Only the beginning of the long road towards it is here, and it is this beginning you must seek. Every journey has a beginning and an end, and you can make your way only in one direction. If you are dispirited, be comforted by the knowledge that you need only find the beginning of the road. Then, having found it, let every step you take be in the right direction. The journey is long and the road rough and stony, but do not turn back before you reach the first staging post. You will find new strength and encouragement there. Our light was lit in the land of our beginnings. Many books were made and kept in 4 places, and we were in truth children of the written word. There were scribes and readers, officials and guardians. There were servants and those who served in the courtyards. Strangers came into the land of our beginnings and brought practices which were different but more acceptable. They promised an easier road. They displayed deceitful marvels, the usual baits thrown to the ignorant. Their hands were heavy against us, and what could we show except truth arrayed in her earthly robes of simplicity? Even the princes turned against their own customs, and the twin priesthoods of the undergods became earthly wise and corrupt. Few were ready to undergo the perils of initiation. No more were prepared to accept the austere life prescribed. As spiritual barrenness spread, evil practices crept in to fill the places vacated by the sacred mysteries. The candidates accepted into the body of light became fewer and fewer. As the name, the children of light, is written in the old characters, it may also be read as the children of the written word, and this is a truth. We alone preserve our secrets in this manner. The children of light followed a destined course by abandoning their altars in the land of their beginnings, and went to dwell among strangers where many ate at one table. We do not know what befell of their books, for those we have are rewritten. We know the children of the written word went northward after the scattering, but we do not know what were their journeyings. We know about Lothan and Kabokai, designer of houses, who sailed around the edge of the earth. With them was Raleb, the scribe, who knew hidden mysteries. They gathered the records which were in Kindia and carried them the long sea journey, believing the records safer among the barbarians than among those who sought to destroy them. If the records are destroyed by barbarians, it will be done in ignorance and not in the knowledge of wickedness. Many books were laid open to the eyes of ignorant men and destroyed. They came to the harbor of sorrow, which lies by the hazy sea, away from the land of mists. There great trees grew, and smaller trees upon them, and moss hung from them like door curtains. It lay near the great shallow water south of the Isle of Harluge and north of the sea pass. Green pearls are found there. Many died in the harbor of sorrow, for it was a place with a curse upon it, which caused an evil sickness. The sons of fire came with Hoskia and saved them, and they came to this place and built a city. Labrun, the son of Koreb, was governor. The writings of Abaris. I write in terrible times. My people have been driven to black despair, and the most cruel of foes has taken our fair land. The wisdom which flows through my pen, tutored by Isbathaden the younger, is as set into writing by our father Aristolus, and by the great ones who gave us the Annals Romanorum, which we hold in part, clinging like the thunder vine to what is left. I am no weaver of words, and if fine phrases bedeck what I transcribe, they are the work of better hands than mine. I am not as a teller of tales who sits before the hall fire, a waster of words like women over the fuller's tub. Those who wear the red robes of nobility have passed over the misty seas, and the land lies barren of learning. The Firthrig have taken over the dwellings of the wise, and the three pillars of progress. Wisdom, courage, and beauty no longer stand against my magic. I speak of one named Jesus, who was Jesus come to earth as a godling, the much abused one, but does not the lawman whose case is bad abuse his opponent? I speak of those who followed him and suffered in the dark days of oppression. The anger of the people smoldered against the just ones, as Jesus had foretold while still in the body. Then the time came when the dragon of disaster awoke, thirsting for blood, and it began to stalk its prey, while liemongers fanned the smoldering embers of hatred into flame. The king of the land was stirred up to anger, and the hatred of the people became an all-consuming fire. The wolves came out of their dark forests and suddenly fell upon the flocks of innocent sheep and rent them apart. Wild bears burst among the sheepfolds and ravaged them. Evil motivated ones came and cut down the apple-bearing trees, and the star-glint nights were woeful. Beasts trampled the flower gardens, while eagle-hawks swooped down among the dovecotes. The earthen ones broke. The culled-out servants of the high God entered the arena of vile entertainment like children before their teachers. They were thrown into the path of the lions. Some they equipped with weapons and forced to fight with bears. Women were scented with the smell of heat-angered beasts, and children stood frozen with fright. Their bodies were shredded like the paper of Egypt. They moaned pitifully, like oxen awaiting the slaughter, and their children were murdered before their eyes. They were raised up by thongs on the wrists, their feet pressing on thorns or on heated plates or over small fires. Many were thrown into prisons to die of hunger, thirst, and cold. In the days when the Druthan looked darkly on the enlightened ones, the hammer of God said to the king, "It is in the nature of people placed such as we to fear those who wield the weapons. But we have one who is more to be feared than you, and he is one to whom I look up. I stand in awe of the great one who is strong enough to overlook your present power, but who will surely call you to account in the life to come." The king said, "Where is your temple?" The reply was, "A true servant of God has no need of a temple built of wood and stone." It was to tell of such things that the anointed one came, to awake sleeping men drunk with the heavy draughts of sensuality and lewdness. He came to open the eyes of men to their carnal degradation, which corrupts their spiritual natures. He came to open their eyes to their divine destiny and to show them the hidden sparks of divinity captive and suffering in the carnal natures of apathetic men. There are those who prefer the dregs of darkness to the living power of light, which flows from Jesus, Son of Dewi, sap of the trees, sweetness of the fruits and perfume of the flowers, bread of heaven and shepherd of souls. He is the river of sweet waters arising at the spring of truth. I am an unworthy one in the telling of these tales. Great inspirer, give me a ray of inspiration to raise my voice, as it were, from the mystic cauldron, sister vessel to the ice-clear chalice. I will lay the dowry of the mystic maid at the feet of the discriminating ones. The smoothness of my lay flows from the bubbling brew from out of the great cauldron. I am one of God's inspired and not numbered among mere poets yapping at the heels of highbrow poets. I am not one aspiring to the noble chair, whose words must be proved by privilege and truth. Where are the grave, highbrow priests of the past and the wonder-making poets? Those who thrive today cannot rise to the sky heights of song, even though their melody-making wings ache with fluttering. They are like the food pot placidly bubbling over the red-graying coals. O comforter of the comely tribes, welcome me into the lush dominions of field and forest. O champion of the thrusting sharp spear, hear my petition thrown out into the three-circled expanses of power. Let us feast at the overflowing cauldrons of peace, and let us, your people, sleep in the downy, heather-scented beds of tranquility. Protect the holy sanctuary of the blue-gowned bards, where valor is honored and chastity cherished. The raging assailants, protectors of slothful ways, laborers of concealed mysteries, surround us. We call on the guardian bulwark of celestial power to become the smasher of shields. How straitly comfortable a scribe am I, who reconciles the mystic daughter with the lowly mother, who places the crystal-clear chalice beside the blood-filled golden cup, who combines the divine circle with the eternal cross and the sorrowful son with the triumphant fighting father. In the beginning, only the absolute existed in the firmament. The Druid priests of Europe believed in the one supreme being, but also held that there was a body of lesser beings. They believed in a fairyland of nature spirits, which manifested to mortals. All happenings were motivated by an interplay of unseen rays from the source. Therefore, the running of a hare, flight of birds, fall of leaves, patterns in sand, the sound of waters were meaningful. Their 7 deadly sins were hypocrisy, theft, cowardice, fornication, gluttony, indolence, and extortion. Above all precepts were the 3 manly qualities, honor, courage, and manliness, and the 3 womanly qualities of decency, decorum, and chastity. There were female temple attendants, but no female druids. The druids who taught were called nemids. There were waiths who knew the secrets of nature, and these would not eat birds. Once every 3 years there was a fire walking. Under the great night reflector, only 4 animals appear as ghosts: the dog, cat, horse, and hare. The ghosts of these could be forewarners of the crack of doom. Will-o'-the-wisps haunt the marshlands, but few are enlivened by answers. Nick-o'-the-nights haunt the stony places and fells. Joseph Idowin and his brave band came to flowering Britain 3 years after the death of the Messiah. He converted Gladys, sister of Caridu, who married a Roman, and her sister Igra, who was the wife of Salog, lord of Carsalog. After landing, he and his band passed through an avenue of oaks and standing stones. They first built huts over against the holy vineyard where the fruits were bitter. After all the saints had gone to their rest, the first church and its surroundings became a wild place, a refuge for wild creatures. Then, as the land remained holy, saints came from Gaul who restored it, and one was Fergus the Briton, who had served at this place as a youth. Idowin was buried in a shirt of fine linen, which he had worn when burying the Messiah, and which was stained with 3 spots of blood on the chest. He was buried by the 2-forked cross. The saints had lived in 12 huts, around a never-diminishing well at the foot of the holy hill. Joseph Idowin was related to Amalek, whose kingdom bordered that of Arviragus through Anna the Unfaithful. he converted Claudia Rufina, the daughter of Caradu, previously called Gladys, who married Pudens, a Roman, and had a daughter, Pudentia. In his 28th year, Caradu was betrayed to the Romans by Aricia, queen of Bryannis. He married Genuissa, daughter of Claudius, to bind the peace agreement. The name Caradu means filled with love, but he preferred to use a warrior name. Gladys, sister of Caradu, married Aulus Plautius, a Roman commander. Caradu held an estate in Siluria, and he was made war chief when Guiderius, son of Cymbeline, was slain by a slingshot near the river Thames. In the year 59 of our Lord, the British rose up Tindawadica, the horse fighter, who died nearly 3 years later when Goges became war chief. Caradu went forth with the bright, flashing, sharp-pointed spears of war. Poets, renowned judges of excellence, sang his praise. Even druids of the 3 great circles launched their eloquence in the 5 dialects and 4 tongues. Dancers from the steep mount gaily preceded him, and diviners from the high-pillared gates declared wise oracles. I am one who lived in those brave days. It is my right to be the master singer, for I stand in the last line of blood from the golden strong-armed kings of old, my fathers. Father was a poet of the high enclosure, prince of the true tribe, high caller of the Kimwi, a giant of song born of melodic race, light-tongued, harp-voiced. Well fitted am I to sing Caradu's praise, accepting great Keeley and the all-seeing diviners of the land, and sagacious druids of the fine woven gold chains, and chiefs of the splendid wars. I am first above all to open his mouth in honor. He honored all blue-gowned bards, singing bards of the land, guardians of the storehouses of winged words. Guests such as I were never wanting for provision while Caradu reigned, a high king over the wide land of heroes. He paid them well in sleek, fleet-limbed courses, chases of the wind-borne hare. The valorous druids, feared by foes, the flowing-robed judges of disputes said, let songs be composed with melodious refrains to praise the savage subduing heroes. The power of the poet is in the uplifted shield shaking before the tumult, high riding on the battle leader's shoulder. It is in the quivering hair crouching in the bracken-buried hallow. It is in the soft sighing, promise of a fair-skinned maiden, in the finely shaped form of the terrible spear blade, in the bright-bladed sword clashing in the heat of the conflict, in the homely, comforting abode of the family. I have sung my last day, the wonder days have gone, and strangers walk the land. The high-hearted bards have gone to their rewards, and the diviners' mouths have been sealed. Now it is the fashion to hear the babbled words of Brandigan of Walsogo, which stand before the resounding halls, by the stream of sorrow, at the very gates of hell. The purifying Colgarth fires remain as transmuters to heaven. Happy is the flame-born one. Our fathers of old believed that fire was a form of creature which had to be fed with fuel, given share of the food, and in stressful times the sacrifice of a human. They who read the flames and embers are no longer with us, for they have been supplanted by the omen readers. As dogs can see happenings in the world of spirits, then whatever they do is important, and a wise man watches them and takes heed. For if a dog sleeps before the fire, all is well, be at peace. If he sleeps on a bed, then beware. To sleep in a corner means strife, and to howl means a death. To crouch and whimper indicates the presence of a spirit. Happy are the bright spirits in Ellendon, the glorious sky isle where they await their call to return. All here have the K-light around their heads come night, and they visit earth in their dreams. If there be confusion in dreaming, then there is confusion in the daily round of life. Dream without confusion, and see clearly and know you live well. Seek not to dream through the spotted elf cap, though it give enormous strength, visions, and the gift of prophecy. Do not dream with the wicked, as did the seers of olden times. Do not look through the window of the egg vessel. These things are forbidden to you. nor may you consult the tree-bound maiden who, in truth, is the viper blown glaned. That which was done on the high night of summer shall be done no more. Gems from the serpent must not be sought, nor may you follow the swanship, though that which it bears within itself may be yours. Even so, it is unwise to bring the majestic sun down to incarnate in a stone. Know the secret of the sonship, and all wisdom will be the reward. Seek it at Karelen. Those worthy ones who could drink from the glory glen are no longer a voice for the land, but there is a new chalice at the well. The phoenix sleeps in the holy hole of Kaparal. If a man would know the mystery of life, the secret of these things, he must climb the mountain of tears in the vale of the dead, at the trysting place of the sun and the moon chalice. Thence must he go to the place of Brandigan, following the path of mysteries. If he does by the wanderer's way, he is lost. The secret of Dweeva is known to the knights of Carwidrin, who sit within the sacred circle. They fight the never-ending war with the powers of darkness. It is victory in the conflict of the soul which entitles the warrior to drink the cup of immortality. The knights of Carwidrin seek in a never-ending quest. The wisdom of the way by which knights and their ladies live is, let men follow the natures and ways of men, and women follow the natures and ways of women, and let each serve the other rightly. The heart of Britain is the moon chalice, which was brought here by the hands of the chief of the Cassini. He came ship-bone to Rafinia, which is by the mount of Lud, against Ardmole. Passing Innsbruck, he came to Iten, where he hid the treasure in Trebethu. It was not captured, as men say, nor could it decay. In the fullness of time, it came to Cargwin. There it was kept secure with the Grail stone and the ever-virgin vessel, which was brought down the rays of the sun. Thus it was that these treasures of Egypt came to Britain. This was the secret of Britain, the flood of Atuma. Behold, was this not written in the days of our fathers' fathers and of their fathers before them, and given unto us that we should pass it into you, the children of days yet unborn? That, if the ability of the scribe remains with you, it could be read in your generation. Read, O children of the unborn years, and absorb the wisdom of the past, which is your heritage. The enlightening words from a past which is to you, in days so far away and yet in truth so near. We are taught that we live forever, and this is true, but it is equally true that no moment of life must be wasted, for each hour and day on earth is a shaping for the future. We are the inheritors of a portion of time. We can dissipate it on futile things or utilize it to our everlasting benefit. In the days of our fathers, before barren teachings clogged the thoughts of men, and vain formal ritual built a wall which obscured understanding, men walked in the light of truth. Then they knew there was one God alone, but because they allowed their higher abilities to fall to disuse, they saw less clearly. Because he appeared in different aspects, they thought he was many. Now, in our days, God has many varied forms in the eyes of men, and each declares he alone knows the true name and likeness of God. Here, all men fall into error, though all have spoken truly according to their understanding. But truth can never bow to the limited understanding of man. The comprehension of man must expand to grasp it. In olden times, there were spawned great monsters and beasts in fearful form, with frightful gnashing teeth and long ripping claws. An elephant was but a rat in comparison with them. Then, because of heavenly rebellion and turmoil, and the terror overwhelming the hearts of men, the Great One hardened the face of the land, which had become unstable, and the beasts were changed to stone. This was before times when the destroyer still slumbered in the upper vaults of heaven. Thus it is written in the record of Beltshera, in those days the people were wicked, and though the wise men among them gave many warnings of the wrath to come, they would not listen. Such is the way of the wicked. So it came about that the hastening spirit became stirred up against them because of the odor of wickedness arising from the earth, for her nostrils abhor the smell of evil. This is a smell no man can know, For as the hounds know the smell of fear, which no man can detect, so can other beings know the smell of wickedness. Then, with the dawning, men saw an awesome sight. There, riding on a great black rolling cloud, came the destroyer, newly released from the confines of the sky vaults, and she raged about the heavens, for it was her day of judgment. The beast with her opened its mouth and belched forth fire, hot stones, and a vile smoke. It covered the whole sky above, and the meeting place of earth and heaven could no longer be seen. In the evening, the places of the stars were changed. They rolled across the sky to new stations. Then the floodwaters came. The children of God and the children of men had passed into dust, and only men remained. 100 generations had passed since the overwhelming deluge, and 10 generations since the destroyer last appeared. The great scales weighed the soul by its appearance in the netherworld, and thus its place is appointed. Its virtues form its food, but no, man eats the filth that is his. He who devours souls is but the dark cave of horror, which opens to receive dark souls into affinitive darkness. The Rakima watches in silence. Patiently it sits, waiting for the day of the destroyer. It will come in 100 generations, as is written in the great vault. The destroyer. Men forget the days of the destroyer. Only the wise know where it went, and that it will return in its appointed hour. It raged across the heavens in the days of wrath, and this was its likeness. It was as a billowing cloud of smoke, enwrapped in a meaty glow, not distinguishable in joint or limb. Its mouth was an abyss from which came flame, smoke, and hot cinders. When ages pass, certain laws operate upon the stars in the heavens. Their ways change. There is movement and restlessness. They are no longer constant, and a great light appears redly in the skies. When blood drops upon the earth, the destroyer will appear, and mountains will open up and belch forth fire and ashes. Trees will be destroyed, and all living things engulfed. Waters will be swallowed up by the land, and seas will boil. The heavens will burn brightly and redly. There will be a copper hue over the face of the land, followed by a day of darkness. A new moon will appear and break up and fall. The people will scatter in madness. They will hear the Tiampet and battle cry of the destroyer, and will seek refuge within dens in the earth. Terror will eat away their hearts, and their courage will flow from them like water from a broken pitcher. They will be eaten up in the flames of wrath and consumed by the breath of the destroyer. Thus it was in the days of heavenly wrath, which have gone, and thus it will be in the days of doom when it comes again. The times of its coming and going are known unto the wise. These are the signs and times which shall precede the destroyer's return. 110 generations shall pass into the west, and nations will rise and fall. Men will fly in the air as birds and swim in the seas as fishes. Men will talk peace one with another. Hypocrisy and deceit shall have their day. Women will be as men, and men as women. Passion will be a plaything of man. A nation of soothsayers shall rise and fall, and their tongue shall be the speech learned. A nation of lawgivers shall rule the earth and pass away into nothingness. One worship will pass into the four quarters of the earth, talking peace and bringing war. A nation of the seas will be greater than any other, but will be as an apple rotten at the core and will not endure. A nation of traders will destroy men with wonders, and it shall have its day. Then shall the high strive with the low, the north with the south, the east with the west, and the light with the darkness. Men shall be divided by their races, and the children will be born as strangers among them. Brother shall strive with brother, and husband with wife. Fathers will no longer instruct their sons, and the sons will be wayward. Women will become the common property of men, and will no longer be held in regard and respect. Then men will be ill at ease in their hearts. They will seek they know not what, and uncertainty and doubt will trouble them. They will possess great riches, but be poor in spirit. Then will the heavens tremble and the earth move. Men will quake in fear, and while terror walks with them, the heralds of doom will appear. They will come softly as thieves to the tombs. Men will not know them for what they are. Men will be deceived. The hour of the destroyer is at hand. In those days, men will have the great book before them. Wisdom will be revealed. The few will be gathered for the stand. It is the hour of trial. The dauntless ones will survive. The stout-hearted will not go down to destruction. Great God of all ages, alike to all who sets the trials of man, be merciful to our children in the days of doom. Man must suffer to be great, but hasten not his progress unduly. In the great winnowing, be not too harsh on the lesser ones among men. Even the son of a thief has become your scribe. O sentinels of the universe who watch for the destroyer, how long will your enduring vigil last? O mortal men who wait without understanding, where will you hide yourselves in the dread days of doom, when the heavens shall be torn apart and the skies rent in twain, in the days when children will turn gray-headed? This is the thing which will be seen. This is the terror your eyes will behold. This is the form of destruction that will fall upon you. There will be the great body of fire, the glowing head with many mouths and eyes ever changing. Terrible teeth will be seen in formless mouths, and a fearful dark belly will glow redly from fires inside. Even the most stout-hearted man will tremble, and his bowels will be loosened, for this is not a thing understandable to men. It will be a vast sky-spanning form enwrapping earth, burning with many hues within wide open mouths. These will descend to sweep across the face of the land, engulfing all in the yawning jaws. The greatest warriors will charge against it in vain. The fangs will fall out, and lo, they are terror-inspiring things of cold-hardened water. Great boulders will be hurled down upon men, crushing them into red powder. As the great salt waters rise up in its train and roaring torrents pour towards the land, even the heroes among mortal men will be overcome with madness. As moths fly swiftly to their doom in the burning flame, so will these men rush to their own destruction. The flames going before will devour all the works of men. The waters following will sweep away whatever remains. The dew of death will fall softly as a gray carpet over the cleared land. Men will cry out in their madness, "Oh, whatever being there is, save us from this tall form of terror. Save us from the gray dew of death." The doom shape, called the destroyer, in Egypt was seen in all the lands thereabouts. In color, it was bright and fiery in appearance, changing and unstable. It twisted about itself like a coil, like water bubbling into a pool from an underground supply, and all men agree it was a most fearsome sight. It was not a great comet or a loosened star, being more like a fiery body of flame. Its movements on high were slow. Below it swirled in the manner of smoke, and it remained close to the sun, whose face it hid. There was a bloody redness about it, which changed as it passed along its course. It caused death and destruction in its rising and setting. It swept the earth with gray cinder rain and caused many plagues, hunger, and other evils. It bit the skin of men and beasts until they became mottled with sores. The earth was troubled and shook. The hills and mountains moved and rocked. The dark, smoke-filled heavens bowed over earth, and a great howl came to the ears of living men, borne to them upon the wings of the wind. It was the cry of the dark Lord, the master of dread. Thick clouds of fiery smoke passed before him, and there was an awful hail of hot stones and coals of fire. The doom shape thundered sharply in the heavens and shot out bright lightnings. The channels of water were turned back unto themselves when the land tilted, and great trees were tossed about and snapped like twigs. Then a voice like 10,000 trumpets was heard over the wilderness, and before its burning breath the flames parted. The whole of the land moved, and mountains melted. The sky itself roared like 10,000 lions in agony, and bright arrows of blood sped back and forth across its face. Earth swelled up like bread upon the hearth. This was the aspect of the doom shape called the destroyer when it appeared in days long gone by in olden times. It is thus described in the old records, few of which remain. It is said that when it appears in the heavens above, earth splits open from the heat like a nut roasted before the fire. Then flames shoot up through the surface and leap about like fiery fiends upon black blood. The moisture inside the land is all dried up. The pastures and cultivated places are consumed in flames, and they and all trees become white ashes. The doom shape is like a circling ball of flame which scatters small fiery offspring in its train. It covers about a fifth part of the sky and sends writhing snake-like fingers down to earth. Before it, the sky appears frightened, and it breaks up and scatters away. Midday is no brighter than night. It spawns a host of terrible things. These are things said of the destroyer in the old records. Read them with solemn heart, knowing that the doom shape has its appointed time and will return. It would be foolish to let them go unheeded. Now men say, such things are not destined for our days. May the great God above grant that this be so. But come, the day surely will, and in accordance with his nature, man will be unprepared.